春，想去海边看海鸥，不管风雨有多少，有你就足够。喜欢看你的嘴角，喜欢看你的眉梢，白云挂在那蓝天，像你的微笑。你笑起来真好看，像春天的花一样，把所有的烦恼，所有的忧愁，统统都吹散。你笑起来真好看，像夏天的阳光，整个世界全部的时光美得像画卷。你笑起来真好看，像春天的花一样。
We'll be starting very soon. We'll be starting in a bit. Let's just give a little bit of a time let's just give some time for those who are not in yet to just join in. However, in the meantime, if you have any questions, you can just leave them down in the comment section below and we will attend to them during the session. I have a special attachment to this particular song, and to tell you the short story, it is because it's one of the songs that was played a lot in the kindergarten that I used to teach at, especially when I first came. It was one of the songs that every morning they would have the kids do some sort of TPR to this song in the classroom. And so I really like this song, you know. Whenever I hear it, it always reminds me of my first school in China. Yeah. So in just a few minutes, just give about 2 minutes, we're going to start and we're going to have a discussion concerning what is going to go on for this semester, what our expectations are. We're going to talk about how we feel about this coming semester. If you want to leave a comment, if you have a question, if there's something you want to know, you need support on something, you need help about something, if you even have some contributions, you can just leave your comment down in the comment section, and then we will address it. We'll talk about it all. So let's just wait for a bit. Okay, so I'm sure the others will join in later. Let's just start right now. So it's been, I think for most, it's been about 3 weeks. I think that's what most schools in China, most foreigners in China get. You get about 3 weeks to just take a break. And some people travel home. Some people travel around in China to see other places. Go to tourist sites, just have fun, especially after a whole long semester. The semester usually starts in February, so you've been teaching February, March, April, May, June, July for about 6 months. So it's kind of good to take a break, you know, do other things. Some people like to go home, others just stay around. Around this time, from the middle of August all the way towards the end of August, it's like most people just come back. I think it's just about a week or two for schools to open. Some schools have even opened already, and so most people are coming back. Now the thing is, after all this fun that we've had, what is our expectation? What are our expectations coming back, going on into the new semester? There's a bit of a feeling, there's sort of a feeling. Okay, I remember someone made a post today talking about, I don't even remember what it feels like to teach again. We are trying to revamp ourselves and put ourselves in the mood for teaching. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to see what we have for today. So let me just highlight some of the main things. I'll talk for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then it would be a discussion about. After that, it will be it will be questions and answers. It will be contributions mostly from you guys. So I would encourage you to put your comments down below. You can introduce yourself. You can say your name, where you're coming from, where you're teaching in China. It could be just a city, or even if you can do a province or something, that's also fine. You don't need to tell us everything. Absolutely. Okay, so these are some of the things I'm going to talk about for today. So for instance, when we come back, we want to make sure we are looking at what we did last semester, especially for those who are old teachers. We want to ponder, we want to go over what we did last semester and see what sort of improvements we can make. That's one of the things we're going to talk about. Also in the area of classroom management and stuff like that. The next is some of the things we can do to have a smooth semester. For instance, engaging with our students, engaging with other teachers. We're going to talk about how looking at planning for the semester, like a semester plan, like how to manage our time, how to go into every lesson ready for that lesson. And also we might talk about, if there's more time, we might talk about some of the technology tools, some of the things we can use for the semester to improve our teaching, some of the places we can look for resources and stuff like that. Then I think finally, or last but not the least, will be concerning how we can take care of ourselves in the semester to make sure that we don't get burned out. Okay, to make sure we do not get burned out. So we have a comment, and I'm gonna. Okay, so it's our friend Hani saying, "Hello teacher, is it quite normal to do the same activity and warm-up songs with my kids twice a week? And I change it next week. I teach a class twice a week." I think it's perfectly normal. It shouldn't be a problem. The whole idea, I think the whole idea besides the fact that it's a warm-up song that gets the kids, ready for the lesson, it's important also to have them learn the song and to get used to the song. So I don't think just once or twice or 3 times is going to cut it. You have to do it a lot of times. And I have favorite songs and a list of songs that I do a lot, at least 2 to 3 times every week. So I think that's normal. It's okay. You can do that. All right. So just a few things before we get into our question and answers. When we get back to the semester, one of the first things we want to do is to have a look, at our timetable, which was for the previous semester, especially to see if our energy consumption and how we did appropriate our use of time for the last semester. Not even just the use of time, but the use of our energy. How we went through the last semester. Was it too much of a toll in terms of health, in terms of how effective was our energy used for every class? Did it work positively for our lessons? And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And also, we want to look at, regarding the last semester, we want to look at some of the things that we did that were good, some of the things that we want to improve on, some of the things that we feel perhaps, and this semester we can do these things a little differently. So, for instance, I had to draw the plan every semester, right? And usually I would go over the plan, the previous semester plan, and I would look at the parts of the semester plan that the kids really gravitated towards and the parts that I felt were not that good, so that I can suggest, not to anybody, to myself, what are some of the things that I could put in there that could improve the kids' learning. So, for instance, usually my Monday and Tuesday were usually fixed because every bilingual class in my school has a lesson each day, Monday to Friday. So Monday was for words, Tuesday was for sentences, Wednesday was for phonics. These three were constant because they were important in many ways. But Thursday and Friday, I would look at what are some of the things I can do Thursday and Friday, and what are some of the things I could change, if possible, that could improve their learning. So sometimes I would do like an activity that spans 2 weeks. Sometimes I would change it up and do songs and rhymes. So it was just, you need to look at the previous semester, look at what you can change, what you can improve, right? And also, with regards to the energy thing, I'm not sure how many lessons each person is teaching, but I used to teach a lot of lessons. And sometimes, if you want to go into each lesson with a high, you're probably going to have some classes stop because by the time you get to that class, you're too tired to put in your all. So what I would usually do is I would look at classes where I can put 100%, and I'll look at which classes for today I should put maybe 60%. And I'm not suggesting you teach haphazardly, but rather just be smarter about how you use your energy so that other classes don't get 1% of you. Yeah. So the next one is to build some sort of engage your students, right? It's important to engage the students you teach. I would say this, that those who are having issues with class control, I would say that the best form of class control is a good relationship. The best form of class control is a good relationship with your students. The better you get to know them, the better they get to know you, the better class control gets. I'm not talking about you enforcing some form of authority and just making them keep quiet and do what you want. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actual class control where the lesson becomes very effective and they sit and listen to you and the class goes smooth and they benefit from the lesson. The best form of class control is a good relationship. So build some relationships with your students. Get to know them. As the semester has begun, you need to go into each class you teach. Outside of your teaching time, go and see the kids. Interact with the students you teach. Just do a hello or hi. Try to get some sort of feedback or response from them. Get them talking to you. Get them talking about themselves. They would always want to say something. They'll come to, hey, teacher, whatever you're called. So just engage your students before the main lessons and all that. The next is you want to organize your semester. You want to plan your semester. You want to make sure you have a good plan for the semester. You want to sit down. Sometimes I do it for the whole year, whether you do it for semester or a whole year, but it doesn't matter. It's really important, but you want to plan your semester. You want to make sure you have a timetable from week 1 all the way to week 20, whether you're teaching 20 weeks, 26 weeks, whatever. So week 1, usually the first week is for review and some sort of interactive learning where the kids just came. There's not any, we don't put anything so massive, like so serious in there. Sometimes it could be a review of a lot of things they learned last semester for the first week. And sometimes it even takes 2 weeks. And it takes 2 weeks, especially because in the kindergarten, most students are not back within the first 2 weeks. So you do some sort of review. Then after that, you want to have like 16 weeks solid, 16 weeks solid new things that they're going to learn. If you teach twice a week, you want to have something good for each day. If you teach 4 times, if you teach 5 times, you want to have something solid for each and every day. And then after that, I think towards the end of the semester is also going to be reviews. And I would advise that you do, after every 4 weeks, your 5th week should be a review of all the things you've done for the 4 weeks. So week 1, 2, 3, 4, you're teaching new stuff. Week 5, you're going to do a review of the 4 weeks. Week 6, 7, 8, 9, you're teaching new stuff. Week 10, you're going to do a review of what you taught week 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's good to put a review session after every 4 weeks. Now, after you have planned for your semester, you also need to plan for every lesson. And it's important. The best way, I don't need to say it twice, you need to know that you need to plan for every semester. I mean, if you do it a lot over a period of time, you become used to it so much that you can just whip something up really quickly, but you still need to prepare for every lesson. Preparation is the best way to ensure your lessons go smoothly. At every turn, you need to know what you're doing. How am I doing my warm-up today? It's not only that you write warm-up, you're going to do warm-up, but sometimes it's good to even decide what song you're going to use for your warm-up. It's good to write down even how many songs you're going to use for your warm-up, because sometimes it's good when the warm-up song corresponds to what you're teaching for the day. So it's good to plan everything. Make sure it's detailed. What is the game I'm going to play for the first word? What is the game I'm going to play for the second word? What am I going to use to review the second word? Or after I teach the first and second word, how am I going to review the 2 words together? It's good to have a detailed plan for every lesson. It's important. It's one of the best ways to feel relaxed, because when you go into the class, even when things are not going well, you know that you have a plan, and it's not necessarily because you didn't plan, but then it has something to do with what is going on in the classroom. Yes. So, the next thing I want to talk about is self-care. After I talk about this, we'll answer our questions. We will do some sort of question and answers. So you want to balance things out. As a teacher, teaching is stressful. No two ways about that. I don't know about those who teach high school and middle school, no, and I'm sure that is stressful too. But ideally, teaching is stressful, and you want to take good care of yourself as a teacher. I'm sure everybody has at least 1 day off in the week. Take a day off, take a break, relax, do something do something not school, do something you, all right? Have friends. I know some of us are teaching in places where there aren't a lot of foreigners, but then there are teachers in your school who you can engage with. Do something that helps take all the pressure, all the work pressure off of you. You need to take care of yourself. Whatever makes you happy, whenever you go out of school, do that and make sure you're relaxed. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Okay, so having talked about this, we're going to go into the Q&A session. We can, if you have some questions, just put it down below. I will address your question. So this one is coming from... So this one is coming from Honey again. He says, teacher, please, can you give us some ideas or tips about such outdoor activities with kids, 4, 5, 6-year-olds? Wow, that is outdoor activities. That's a tough area, actually. And it depends. It depends. So, for instance, when I look at the Chinese teachers, right, when they take the kids outside, there are a lot of games they play with the kids, right? So sometimes you look at what game they play and you see if you can make an English modification to those games. But usually, during my time, some of the outdoor activities we gathered all the kids together and we would do TPR for a lot of the songs we did learn in class. So other activities also, I'll see if I can, on the channel, make a special video about outdoor activities. But it's not easy to just say that off the top of my head, I have to be honest. Outdoor activities are a tough one. And you would most likely need help from the Chinese teachers to do that. Right. So how many topics do you... This is coming from Veronica. How many topics do you recommend a month? Because I've noticed older students get bored easily. That is true. And Veronica, you should not have the same plan, obviously, for all the kids. It should not be that way. So you can plan differently for each level. Sorry about that. For those who are in China, you would know what that sound is. I'm not sure if you can hear it. Okay, so you shouldn't plan the same for each and every level. So for instance, 3 to 4 year olds, you have you can do in a single month, you can do maybe 2 topics, all right, or even 3. So for instance, I do colors for 2 weeks, and then the other 2 weeks I do animals because they're new, 3 to 4 year olds. But then for the older kids, and it also depends on how much the volume of the content, right? So if you're doing something like, let's say, taking an example from my school, if you're doing something like the classroom, all right? So you're going to have the whiteboard, you're going to have books, you're going to have eraser and stuff like that. You're going to have the TV used for teaching all those things in the classroom. So I think it also comes with sentences, and I'm not sure about the older kids, the old kids in your school, but we do reading, right? We do reading. So if it's just about, if there's no reading and it's just trying to memorize the words and get to know the words, perhaps 1 week for about 4 or 5 words. 1 week for about 4 to 5 words for big kids, I think is okay. It's not a matter of how much or how many topics. It's mostly about how much they are learning, right? So even if you do classroom and it's just 2 words, it doesn't matter. Like, it will make sense if you do that for the whole month. If you're doing 1 topic and it's classroom and it's 50 words, it's still, it would take you more than a month to do that. So it's not a matter of how many topics. It's rather an issue of how much you're teaching, how many things you're teaching. Okay. So Veronica says, we have a book we follow, and the content is repetitive. We usually finish sentences and words in 2 weeks. The content is very limited. Do you recommend I add my own additional sentence? Absolutely. Absolutely, you should. So, to put it plainly, the difference between the foreigner teacher and the and the Chinese teacher, because in some schools there are Chinese teachers, there are Chinese people who teach the words or the vocabulary, right? So you are there to make sure the kids have the fluency, right? So, and fluency comes from repetition. Fluency comes from repetition. So, for instance, if we learn a sentence, for instance, in this week, if the sentence is I can run, okay? If the sentence is I can run, right? First day, they've learned it, they've got it. What is it you've learned already that you can fit into this sentence? Maybe they didn't learn, maybe they learn run, jump, walk this week. And you've done I can run, I can walk, I can jump. Okay, have they done wiggle already? You put that in there. You do I can wiggle. Have they done he can run, he can jump? Just move them around, right? So you are there to help them with fluency, and anything that you feel where you add could help that process, you need to do that. Absolutely. It doesn't necessarily have to be something from the book, especially when they've learned what is from the book and they're good at it. So I think that's important. That's a very good question, Veronica. So you should absolutely add your own sentences. I think it's really good. It's so, for instance, in my school, one of the things I really love to do, is taking all the things they've learned already and then seeing whatever fits into what we are learning today and just put it in there. So, for instance, if we learn I can write today, the only thing is I can write for today's lesson. Maybe we learn the word write and then we do the sentence I can write. After they get I can write, I'm going to put every other thing they've learned before into that. I can jump, I can play, I can read, I can throw, I can catch. It's a good form of review, you know. It's a good way to get them to remember all that they've learned already. So, and he's saying some ideas and tips teaching sentences to kids 4, 5, 6-year-olds, because I have a lot of difficulties to teach them sentences like in my room. I have a sofa. Oh, wow. In my room, I have a sofa. Okay. So let me put it like this. There are words, right? There are sentences that are difficult to teach, right? Some things you can't teach. Some things, especially for fluency, and you know, some things you catch. I don't know if it makes sense, but some things you don't teach. Some things the brain catches them by itself. And that's sometimes what the difficulty is when we write a book and we want to teach such things to kids, all right? Because some things the mind does A plus B and the mind gets it. And therefore it's not easy to just explain or teach such things to the children. The only way or the best way to do that is to put it in a practical form. The best way to do that is to put it in a practical form. It's not to explain it. So, for instance, you teach the fundamental part first. You teach the fundamental part first, and then the other parts that come with it, you do it in such a way that the kids can sort of catch and understand it. All right? So, let me see. So, for instance, something like, I have a sofa. All right? You want to say, I have a sofa in my room. Okay. First of all, you don't teach, I have a sofa in my room. You don't go straight like that. you start with I have a sofa. You teach only I have a sofa until they get it. Then you teach only in my room until they get it before you try to put the two together. So I have a dog, I have a cat, I have a bed, I have a fish, I have a TV, I have a book, I have a bird, I have a whatever. You teach that first. Then you look at in my room. However you're going to teach in my room, you teach that also separately. Okay? So maybe I'm not sure how you're going to explain it, but it's definitely possible. You can demonstrate. Okay? So usually maybe you can before you even bring room, you can do something they know. So maybe a bag, school bag, they have that, a backpack in the classroom. So you can do in my bag, you can do in my cup, you can do something that's literally there that they can see before you replace that with room. You need to try as much as possible to practicalize that. Then when you finish, you can do I have a book in my bag. I have a book in my bag. I have a book in my bag. I have a pen in my bag. I have a fish, a cat, whatever in my bag. Then you go on to replace I have a sofa in my class because they're in a class. Then you can do I have a sofa in my home. And then you can switch it around also eventually if you want and do in my home I have a sofa. All right. So I think that's probably the best way I can think about this for now. If you have any questions still. Okay, so the stream will be ending soon because this is supposed to be a 20-minute stream. So we're ending soon. We will continue next week. If you have any questions, then we might have to postpone to next week. Thank you all who joined in. For those who asked the questions, very much appreciate it. I'll see you next week. We'll do it every Sunday. I will try as much as possible so we can do this every Sunday. All right, so catch you in the next one. Goodbye.